not my skill set, nor do I want to learn it.
Sometimes, because I put up stuff which I kind of test in the wilderness. I don't know if I was the best one to teach them that. However, and although it was a really good one you said, I was like, oh,
the baby out with the bathwater.
I do know where that.
So for me, rather than doing something half-heartedly or like just half.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wonderful morning. Always back 2025. OMG. Can you believe it? Can you believe
Okay,
it?
I do have to tell you that before we introduce ourselves. It has absolutely hit me. I mean, this year, 2025, doesn't it just seem like yesterday that we were going through Y2K?
Yeah, you know how that whole thing was. Wow.
And it's such a non-event. And yet look at what has happened in so many ways since then.
So many. Yeah, because we all thought
are talking about it.
Wasn't it when it was YK or whatever it was called? Let's see.
Well, remember when it was 1999?
Yeah.
And we were going to lose, all the computers were going to shut down. We were going to have all the power was going to fade and all of that stuff.
Everything. People were scared about their jobs and everything. Yeah.
People were going to, and yet, really, when you think about it, since then, those things that they were afraid of, some of them have happened. They just didn't happen all at once.
Which that would have really been kind of...
which that would have been catastrophic. Yeah. And yet, look at all the things that have happened since in the last 25 years.
Yeah, because who would even thought that we would be in a 3-year COVID world?
Yeah.
Who would ever thought that? It's still, I mean, I know it's just past. People say, oh, it's past.
It's all past, yep.
Let's learn from that. I always tell people, whatever we go through, because we all went through it together. It wasn't like, okay, certain cities and states.
Right.
It's like, no, we all went through this. So we should be learning something from this too, not just saying, oh, it's just and I mean, I've learned that I was more creative than I thought I was.
That I think that's what's going right. All of us had to get creative about how we do things. Like one friend of mine is a tech guy, and he said we have done more in 2 years. And this was back a year or so after it all started. He said we have done more in this last year or two than we thought we were going to have done in 10 years.
Wow!
Of the tech stuff.
Of the tech stuff.
Of the technical stuff. So of course, this technology, this booming technology, now we are really in the throes of it. And for people who want to take advantage of it, the opportunity is huge. Huge. And that's where people like you and I come in. But we never did introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Barbara Ellison, founder of Total Wellness Playroom, to be the best version of you and your life. And that's what we talk about on this show. Being the best version, having the best version of your life, making happiness the norm rather than the exception. And that's why, Barb, I love the fact that we are teamed up because we're on the same mission.
Yeah.
We just do it in slightly different ways.
Yeah. But see, like when you come together, it just blows up even more. I see you just like, it's a huge difference. So with me, Barbara's on they have the Total Wellness Playroom, which I love. I love when she changed her. I love when you changed your thing. Because I feel playful, but in a sense, it's like you're playing for people that are more older. It's like, hey, we can have fun too.
We can still have fun. Exactly.
So with me, I just go into, okay, let's really dig deep. And this is for any age group. Of your purpose. We all should understand who we truly are. We're not just a title that somebody gives us or a title that we give ourselves sometime and say, okay, that's it. So we really need to dig deep and say, what's the true purpose? And after that, you got to show up. Visibility. We always have visibility, but I want to show up here. Yeah, because people need to know your gifts. People need to understand who you are. People need to understand how you serve others. So that's what I do, with the TV streaming shows that I help create with people, podcasting, and the list goes on. But the biggest thing I always want to be is a cheerleader for people to really understand and really just taking in and knowing how worthy they are to show up.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to give you a little plug here, is that Barb has been absolutely an amazing co-host. However, she is all about visibility for people. So this is for somebody out there. I mean, and Barb, once in a while, these come out that this is up for you, something out there. If you have ever thought of being on the TV or having a show, reach out to Barb Beckley. And I can remember as a kid saying, when the TVs first came out, wouldn't it be fun to be on a TV show? And now here I am.
Yes.
So if you have ever thought that as a kid, that, wouldn't it be fun to be on a TV show?
Yes.
Come join us.
Yes.
Have your own show. Barb will help you absolutely every inch of the way.
Yes. And it's not that difficult. And I'm glad you said that, Barb, because I was even back in the day when I was younger. I was like, ooh, I wonder what I could be on a TV. How you
wouldn't it be nice?
Wouldn't that be kind of nice?
We're kindred spirits, and here we are. But you have taken it to a whole another level. So I'm just saying, kudos to you, Miss Beckley.
I wish I could hug you in person. Love you so much. Yeah. It took you and a lot of other people, but really talking about you right now. That is really has encouraged me, has been there for me, has given me the wisdom and guidance. So that's why I want to say you're not on an island by yourself.
Exactly.
Never think you're on an island by yourself. Please bring in other like-minded people in your life because it can help you so much. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I have found now, since all of this craziness and now in the new year, I'm hearing more that companies are doing the same thing. We do it on an individual basis, but companies are now starting to realize the benefits because so many of them are caught up in the mechanics of selling their product. Oh, sell. Well, instead of just selling, because you have a limited market, create products and services around understanding what your audience wants and needs.
Yes.
Find out what their pain points are. What do they value? Get to know them.
Yes.
And lots of times you'll be able to fill a need before they even know that they want to ask for it.
Yeah.
But you're fulfilling a need.
Yes.
And that is something, because like for me, in my case, so many people they go from being burned out and unhappy to living their best life by embracing the things that I teach them. Well, living your best life is all about knowing who you are, having great health, and having the financial freedom to do what you want to do with your identity and your great health. Let's put it all together.
Yeah. And like you said, Barbara, if you don't have that, then you really can't go to the next stage. You're saying, so you have to have that part as a foundation for yourself to move forward and do the things you can do for people and help them with their pain points, like you said, and everything. And I just want to add to that. I love you brought that up with understanding your people, the tribe is supposed to come to you, your audience, however you want to call it. Because the thing that I'm noticing too is you have to nurture the relationships with people that you meet. You just can't sit there, meet them one time and then say, hey, by the way, buy my da-da-da-da.
Buy my widget, buy my widget, whatever that widget happens to be.
Yeah, and by the way, it's on sale for this, but buy this, and then, you just keep on like the salesperson all the time. But you need to nurture the relationship so you can really get to know that person.
Right.
And what I love, and I'm gonna, because I call the women queens. So Queen Andi, who's gonna be coming on in a minute, we're gonna be really understanding what she does as in her kingdomship, as I call it. We had a talk, in the virtual green room, and we were prepping everything. And she mentioned, which I love what she said. She said, I know you, Barbara Ellison, because she met this Barbara Ellison. She said, and I came on the show, and I trust you. She basically said, I trust you, or, I know you well. So that's why I'm coming into this space now. That's huge. So somewhere down the line, there was a relationship building with you and Andi. For her, first of all, for you to get to know each other. Second of all, for her to trust and like who you are. And third, to even say, okay, let's even take this a further. Okay, you know other people? Okay, let me meet this other person. Who's Barbara J. Beckley? Well, I don't know her, but I know you, Barbara Ellison. See?
So that's where that trust factor comes in.
Yes.
And that's what is so important, that when you have a business that gives value, like so many of the companies now have a charitable part of their business.
Yes, I noticed that.
There more and more and more companies. In fact, right now, I'm in a little book club, and right now we're starting a book called Go Givers Sell More. It's all about getting the premise that the more value you give to the people around you, it doesn't matter if it's a business, whether it's a relationship, whatever it is, when you give more, everything else will automatically happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Zig Ziglar. You help enough people get what they want, you'll automatically get what you want. Yeah. It doesn't have to be that sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And laws of reciprocity, they're universal. Everybody understands it once they know it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where you and I and Andi, we're starting to talk about it. These are the things that like build community around your brand. What does your brand stand for? Like my brand, Total Wellness Playroom, stands for people to get into retirement so that they thrive in retirement. They're not just surviving it. No. Because lots of times, if they're not thriving, they're dying.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And that's exactly what's happening to so many people.
And I want to add to that thriving. I want to add to conquering, because, just like you said, we're just moving along. And as soon as I hear somebody say that, I feel like doing this all of a sudden. Like, okay, you're just moving along. That just sounds kind of like, okay, we're going down. But if you're thriving and conquering stuff, it's like it's excitement comes.
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly. And just to let you know, Miss Barbara, you talking about brand, right? I always tell people your brand is not the website or anything. Your brand is you. You. I'm talking about you now. Again, calling you out. That you show up with your brand. Your brand is Barbara Ellison. And you show up through the Total Wellness Playroom by being healthy, by showing, by living it. You ingrain health. You do. Yeah. To the point where I was like, okay, I got to get on this bandwagon with her, else I'm gonna be looking older and this and that and looking whatever. And you're thriving and conquering.
I am thriving.
Well, every time you say your age, I'm sitting there like, okay, show me your driver's license, because I do not believe you.
Well, okay, so I'm going to tell. This is 2025. I was born in 1950, so do the math. I'm 75. I'm gonna be 75 this year.
What you said, Barbara? What you said? We'll let you do the math.
Do the math. I'm gonna be 75.
And looking just so beautiful and so radiant and just this young at heart, young in physical. I'm so serious. We have another wonderful queen that's looking like she's in her 40s and stuff that's coming up. Yeah. When I was seeing her, she just for hair all. I was like, "Dang, what's going on? It's in the water. I need this. I need what you two have."
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Right. And that's the thing. It's when we can focus on educating people to be their best self, it's going to impact every other part of their life.
Yes. Yeah.
Every other part of their life.
So true, Barbara.
Because it affects their relationship, it affects their marriages, it affects how they think about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, just Andi just put in our little chat here.
I love it. She's coming to conversation. I love this lady already. I really do. I just met her and I love her. She's right. She's viral too. You're right. You got, like you said, when you start with yourself, Barbara, and that's why I keep telling people, if you don't love yourself or working on you and really enjoying yourself and respecting yourself. These are some words that some people take for granted about themselves. They need to stop that. And that's where I come in at too, Barbara. I always talk about, everybody's worthy. Everybody. I don't care who you are or what you look like, in or out. You are worthy. And don't let anybody else say this, but you gotta really believe that. It's one thing to tell somebody, yeah, whatever, Barbara. Some people do that to me too. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, no. So okay, so I see you're the yeah person. So let's really talk about this, because now you get tired of me. Because in a minute, Barbara, every day I'll come to somebody, always say, you're awesome, you're amazing, you're queen. Yep, exactly. And they be like, but I want them to
believe it. And they don't believe it within themselves. And I think one of the biggest things that I share with my clients is that quit beating yourself up for the things that you're not. Celebrate the things that you are with the people around you. It's not a matter of, I was brought up that you don't toot your own horn. Yeah. Well, let me tell you, people, sometimes it's good for you to toot your own horn. Exactly. Because we deserve it, and we are worthy of it. And that's getting visible when you do it for yourself. Guess what? Exactly what Andi just said in our little thing.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what, just to add to Andi, what she's saying, if you don't toot it, who else will? Or people or other people might want to toot your horn and do it the wrong way. So you don't need anybody trying to toot your horn, and they don't understand who you are. It's really, because some people, so one person said, oh, I know Barbara, she does this. And I was like, no, I don't. I mean, in the back of my mind, I'm like, what are they talking about? And then another little voice came in my head and said, well, you didn't say anything, Barbara. So now you got them trying to tell them who you are. That you need to fix. And I was like, wow, that was an eye opener too. Because they put me out there all wrong, Barbara. I mean, literally every little thing that was not right. But I wasn't tooting my own horn. Yeah, I wasn't doing myself. Yeah.
And I think one of the things for me, and we can end on this, because I know we have to go to a commercial break. Yeah, but you know what? If somebody, I'm at the age, so now we've already talked about my age. So I'm at the age now that if someone doesn't like something that I'm doing, that's their issue, not mine. It's not my issue. I'm so sorry that you don't like that, but you know what? That's okay. Yeah. I don't like everything that everybody else does. So why should I expect everybody to like what I do? So, yeah.
I love that. Just putting that out there. You're right. Because
put that out there.
So, yeah, it goes both ways. So
exactly. It works both ways. That there's two sides of every coin. Mm-hmm. There's two sides of every story. Some people have thought that, that all the craziness was the best thing ever. For some people, it was the worst thing ever. But everything's like that. Yeah, you can have the two sides of every situation.
No matter what, you're right. So with that, we're going to go into our sponsor, and then from that point, we're going to talk to Miss Andi Sage, the Queen. Yes. We'll be back. Love it. Love it. Wow. So I just want to give some love again to our sponsor, Help Heal Humanity nonprofit organization, where they are helping children in other countries that basically can't get food, no clear water, or clothing and education. And they are out there really doing their thing. They build build housings for them. They build schools for them. So we just want to thank Serena Buffalito. She is the person, the CEO, the angel, I always call her, that's doing that. She's been doing it for 15 years, and she's always looking for volunteers. Not just the money always, but always want people just to have a heart to help. So thank you for helping humanity. But now we're on a second part of our show, Time to Shine Happiness, with our wonderful, amazing, spectacular guest, Andi Sage, the queen.
Well, hello. Thank you so much, Barbara and Barbara, for having me on. This is such an honor to be with you guys today.
Oh, okay.
What are we talking about?
Well, first of all, it's about you for one. But I just want to say thank you again. I mean, this is my first time meeting you through Barbara, but I feel like I've been knowing you for a while. So that's already, I feel the warmthness of the conversation is going to happen. And I just appreciate you coming on the show. So yeah, so back to you, Queen. What started you on this Sage Health advocate? Because you're an advocate for that. And I know there's a lot for that. So please tell us.
So you were just talking about how people handled all the craziness and what that was. And everybody has a pandemic story, you know. My pandemic pivot, I'm starting to call it now, was that I was in the high-end resort world, Bellagio, Wynn, event planning, beautiful people, beautiful parties, beautiful events. Fantastic, right? So the pandemic happens and I lose not just my job, it was my career, my insurance, and my dad in the first 3 months. That was pretty much of a gut punch. And we anticipate someday losing our parents. That's kind of the norm of things. I didn't anticipate the relationship changes that would happen with every other member of my female family. I'm the oldest of 4 girls. And so they always say the oldest daughter makes the best son. And my career up to that point had really followed my dad's career. A lot of influence there. Let's just say it that way. So pandemic happens. Like, I don't know what I can do for a living. I don't know if I can get off the couch, like when I say splat. But my husband was heading toward Medicare age. I connect with seniors. The father, the bride who'd given the toast, the grandparents, whatever. I'll help seniors with their Medicare. And so I got my insurance license. Everybody else I knew was going into real estate. But I was ill prepared, pun intended, for what I was going to see behind the curtain. Besides a confusing system, and that's neither here nor there, but it's a sick care system. And there's a whole lot of dark in there, and I think it's starting to come out. But at the same time, I was going, are you kidding me? This is the system? At the same time, I was being introduced and intertwined to a beautiful cellular-level nutrition company, and that's important. We breeze past some of these buzzwords sometime. But at the same time, I'm learning about what I can be doing physically, to my health. Meanwhile, I'm seeing what's happening over here with medications, and I'm like, whoa, it is a pay me now or pay me later system. And the cost at the end of the day is way more if you have to go into a system. So I tout that, all of our grandmothers said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's still true. That is so still true, but no one talks about it anymore because there's less money to be made in prevention. So I don't want to go dark conspiracy theory, but I think we're starting to see that there's money to be made there and there's help to be had over here. And those two things don't meet up. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I feel like I found what I was looking for. And it wasn't just enough for me to go, oh my gosh, I feel better. Wow, I feel a lot better, like significantly, measurable better. But it has become kind of a moral obligation to help other people. When I'm in a room and I hear somebody get up, oh, my back, I think, what was I this? Oh, I didn't sleep well, all the things we hear. And I'm sitting on a solution. I feel like that's me giving God's gifts right there. It's like, I have solutions. Ask me about them. Don't ask me about them. I'll tell you anyway. I'll walk you through it. We'll link arms. That's actually how I met Barb. We were both separately on that, in that world. But I mean, I've only known you for the 4 years of that, but I've seen a change just then. So what I love, you mentioned it earlier, we call it a glow. We definitely have a glow when you're healthy. It has a vibration. You can see it. And we spend a lot of time as women, I think, especially what topically to put on our faces, and we don't spend as much time on what should we be putting in our mouth, I mean, and your doctor is going to say, go eat more protein, move a little bit. Well, for me, at the place I was in my life, I had a teenager. That meant if I'm going to go through drive-through, I'm going to get a double quarter pounder with cheese because that's more protein. I was that girl. So you can see my mouth. I'm like, ugh, it pains, but you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And when people know better, they do better. So that is the thing, is to just educate and share. And it may not be my solution that someone's looking for, but that's okay. If talking to me helps lead them to another solution, okay. Either way, all boats will rise. And I really believe that. So that's how I got to, so all things were intertwining. That's right. I'm feeling the health thing, and people kept saying, well, you can't do more than one thing. You can't do more than one thing. You got to focus. And I'm like, I was an event planner in Las Vegas. I can do more than one thing. So I put an umbrella over it, and Sage Health Advocates is an umbrella company that's got several different underneath, all in the natural health circle. Things your doctor's not going to tell you about, things your doctor's going to look at a label and not know what they're reading. Right. And that's okay. That's okay, because they are trained to a different pharmaceutical situation. And I have no desire to do that. I want to help people where they are and get them results fast that don't lead to another medication. And meanwhile, nobody's really actually better. Okay, now I could go on a rant about that. So,
but I just want to throw, first of all, thank you so much for that, because that's very good wisdom and education that you're giving us right now. Because like you said, every time, and I'm just going to put it out there, I go to the doctor, I'm not feeling whatever I'm feeling. Next thing you know, here's a prescription for this. I'm like, not enough. Right. And then what the bad part is, you're giving me something. I have like maybe 2 other medications, and then they're all entwining. Well, this is going to happen, a side effect, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. I said, okay, everything's offsetting each other or going to cause more damage to something else in my body. This is not good. This is not
and
good.
I do still help seniors with their Medicare, because it is confusing, but I didn't feel like I could be just a cog in a very broken wheel if I was over here knowing about how to keep people from going in,
Yes, yeah.
And everybody, you see the world as you are, I believe, not as it necessarily is. So I'm thinking everybody wants good health. Well, people think they have it. I mean, they really do. They're 45. They take a nap in the middle of the day. They're dragging the rest of the day, but they're getting through it. And it's just stress. Everybody's speaking the same language. What if there's a different language? And that different language can come with different things inside your body. I don't want to say propping you up, because that's what pharmaceuticals do. They like prop you up.
Yeah.
They don't fuel you from the inside. And that's what I'm about, is fueling from the inside. There's things on my website for the health of your car. I mean, if it's all interrelated. If you're stuck on the side of the road because your car is not being serviced right or well taken care of, you're in a bad place. You want to have some other things in mind to keep your mind going, right? But I'm just saying, it's the philosophy of Sage Health Advocates. It's for the health of the person, the body, the mind, the soul, so that you can handle your life, because life happens.
Exactly.
I love what you brought up, though. You're right, Queen, about, if everybody's thinking this is their good health and this is wonderful health, and like you just mentioned about 45, I go take a nap, I'm sluggish and stuff, and then all 45s or 50-year-olds are doing the same thing. Oh yeah, this is good. This is good health. But technically, no, it's not. They around you, and they think that's the norm. Wow.
Right. Well, you surround yourself with your comfort level.
Yeah,
that's comfortable.
It's one of my things. One of the things that I focus on is memory, because I have memory issues in my family, like 5 generations worth.
Wow.
I don't want to follow the family legacy.
No,
I
don't have that.
I refuse.
Good.
To follow the family legacy.
You don't have to.
And right now, statistically, 1 out of every 6 people has some type of small memory lapses or brain fog, and they don't even realize it.
I believe it,
because they just think it's normal. Well, no, it's not.
Right?
No, it's not, and we have an answer for it.
Right. The brain is
a miraculous thing.
And the fact that we can take something, and I mean, I don't mind saying I do take supplements to supplement. I mean, the deck is stacked against us in the nutrition world. I mean, yeah, sure, we all know to eat over here in the proteins and the salad and the vegetables. We all know that, but that doesn't take into consideration that there's no minerals, no trace minerals. The bugs are being killed. The birds aren't dying in the field. All those things are making our machine over here. Yeah, we're getting fed but we're not feeding our body. We're not triggering our body with the minerals and things. And so having found a solution that does include brain health, for me, do I take it every day? I don't. It depends on the day. And I'm frugal. I've got but if I'm going to get up in front of people, you can bet you I'm taking those. If I'm going to talk to you two ladies, I'm going to take those. I mean, because I want my sentences to come out like they did when I was 35. Like, I like that, So, and then you stop taking it and you're like, oh no, I'm going to want that back.
You notice it. And I think one of the things for me, I have said this many times, is that most people don't know what feeling good really feels like. Because they've never experienced it until they do. And then once they experience it, they won't go back.
Right.
I will not go back to how I felt in my 40s.
Right. Right.
Never will I.
There are things I physically can do. Like, for example, I played pickleball this morning for all the pickleball watchers or players out there. So I played pickleballs on knees that 17 years ago, dial that back 17 years ago, I couldn't kneel down to tie my son's shoes because I was bone on bone. Now, according to x-rays, I'm still bone on bone, but I just found out x-rays don't show you cartilage build.
Right.
And I will tell you, my doctor said, if someone's telling you you're building your own cartilage, they're blowing smoke. I said, I believe that you believe that. I do.
Right.
But what if somebody's figured it out? Yeah. What if somebody has figured it out and no, it's not going to go the big pharma route? And I mean, I no one can take away my experience in my knees, which was kind of my way to wrap it up with him, because he said, are you here to sell me something? I'm like, I actually was hoping you were the doctor who would care enough to at the least look at it for your patients who are going to be recovering from things. I mean, maybe you still need the replacement in something. I'm not saying I'm not a doctor, so I'm not saying you don't, but do you need support in the going in and the aftermath? Absolutely. And that's what I feel Sage Health Advocates is here to do. And I'm not a one-man band. I don't try and be an expert on all of it. I pull in the other advocates that need, if somebody's got a really complex Medicare thing for whatever reason. I have somebody to call. It's not like I'm over here doing it all, but it's too important. There's too much that falls under health. And I think that Americans certainly are starting to wake up to that.
Yeah. I mean, I hear so many different things when it comes to Medicare. I mean, I'm not there yet, but it's coming real close to it. And I'm getting a little nervous because sometimes I hear different things going on.
There's nothing to be nervous about. All the Medicare really does is figure out who's going to pay for it when you get sick.
Yeah.
Right.
If you get sick. And it's always been a foregone conclusion. You need this because, down the road, you're going to get sick. Well, who says? I know somebody who just died, 102 years old, no medication, and he died from a fall. Okay. He had a great life.
Yeah, that was my dad. He was 102.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of it. And I do want to share this. My dad's first heart attack, he was 42. I was 18. Knocks the wind out of your sails. So we spent every year, Christmases especially, what if this is the last one? What if this is the last one? The positive of that is, the negative of that is there was the last one. And that was in 2020. The positive of it is a close family that has come together every year under the what if umbrella. But either way, we've got eight nieces and nephews that have come together for Christmas for years. So keeping a family close is super intentional.
Yeah. And then you never know what's going to make an adjustment in your life to do certain things like you just did. Now, would have that happened? I didn't want your father to have no heart attack, but I'm just thinking, like, if it didn't, would the family be as close? Would people really come and do what they, what was needed to do? So everybody would have it a different way, but it happened that way. Right. And that's to me, that's a blessing, because to have that every year and having family around, because there's a lot of people that have struggled, just getting together as a family. Yeah.
Right. And I'm not going to say we don't struggle. We're a family.
Oh, yeah.
There's a struggle.
There's going to be a struggle. Yeah.
I gave myself a tiny bit of grace on Sunday afternoon. Like, this is so great. We haven't had any squabbles. And I'm like, so grateful. Doggone it, I spoke too soon. Like, there was a bubble getting ready to burst.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a family if it wasn't for those little struggles.
Right. You're going to have something to make these Hallmark Lifetime women movies out of, right?
Yeah. And plus, sometimes it's in the struggles and in those trying moments that we learn something either about the other person or about ourselves of, gee, was this the best? And I know I've been guilty of that. Gee, Barbara, was that the best way you could have handled that?
And that's part of it is, and that's, I'm going to say, is a maturity. is that I've walked away going, oh, I did not use all my skills to the best of my ability. Like, when you like, why did I fall for that again? That kind of stuff.
Right.
Exactly. Because basically we're all teenagers again in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
In that moment, it's like we get our dander up and it's like, ooh.
Well, and that's one thing. It was explained by one of my grandmothers to me that we are who we are. Like our little spirit at 5 years old is the same little spirit at 40 years old, same little spirit at 75 years old. It's the same person, same everything that's going on inside, so it makes sense that if you're around the people that triggered you as a teenager, the teenage Andi shows up. Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
That's good. I mean, what you just said, that was a drop the mic moment. You're right. Because if you're
my last name is Sage, I have to live up to it every now and then.
It's the wisdom. Yes. Right. But you're right. Because it's going to, I just think about it. If I'm around the same people I was a teenager, whatever, they were doing it back then to me, and they're doing it now at an older age. What do you think, Barbara? It's going to happen.
Right.
Wow. Exactly.
That's why it's so important to know the people, the network people that you talk to and stuff around you that are feeding you in a positive way and not in a negative, or not bringing back stuff that can bring stuff up in you.
Yeah. That's huge. And we talk about that, what we put in our mouths, but what we watch and what we listen to, we really have to guard that,
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, that's why it was just funny because me and Barbara was talking about at our last talk when we were on the show. Then people sometimes get mad at me when I say this. And when people are like, oh, I'm so upset. That person said da, da, da. I said, well, you can't blame them. And they're like, what? They said this and this to me, Barbara. I said, well, you let them come into your orbit and feed into you. And now you're feeling a certain way. So now you just got pissed off. Now they're walking around. They're probably okay now. And you're pissed off because something that they said to you. So you need to guard yourself. And, some people, they still made me mad. But see, don't let them take control of your peace. And that's what you just
right.
Yeah.
Right. I like that. Don't let them in my bubble. I mean, if, our bubbles come in and we interact with each other, but come back and make sure you stay whole.
Yes.
Right. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt, and I've done some research on her just because she was such a powerful woman and way ahead of her time.
Right.
But one of the things that she would say is that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Yes. Very true.
Bingo.
And I loved that. I mean, when the Secret Service told her that she could not go up in an airplane because the pilot was of a different color, she went, I don't think so. And she went, and it caused a major scandal back in the day.
I bet it did.
Oh, yeah.
And you can, number one, it was you going up in an airplane, has the first lady going up in an airplane, going up with a man of a different color and a pilot and a man.
Oh, yeah, all the things.
And she said,
it's just like a list of
whole list of things. And she said, and you're going to try to tell me not to do it? Yeah, well, think again.
Right.
And she did.
That just makes me double down.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and that's what comes back to a little bit of what Barb and I were talking about at the beginning. Get to know what's of value to you, to your audience, to your brand, to your customers, to your clients, to your family, whoever you are in relationship with.
Well, and let's talk about that, because at one point when we started Sage Health Advocate, it was like book an appointment, book a complimentary appointment, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm not interested in that. Like, I wouldn't want to do that. I'm like, I literally, it says, let's have a conversation. I mean, let's have a conversation about what matters to you. Right. I mean, I can pivot lots of ways. My title in our company includes the Strategizer, and I really feel like I have a cape because I can meet somebody and start talking and be like, okay, that could help them. That could help them. And then feel that out for them. Some people don't want help. They don't.
Right. And some people don't want help.
Right. And that's probably the hardest one for me, because I'm like, oh, it's so close to you. But if they want help, if they are looking, and if they're not happy and they're seeking and they haven't found the answers, keep seeking, don't settle, because there are things out there. And yes, there's a lot of noise. I just did a presentation on that. There's a lot of noise, and how would the consumer know? That's part of the conversation we're going to have, is where is their level of interest in healing themselves? I hate the word healing out loud. But triggering their own body, where is their interest in that?
Right.
And I will say, for the people who are like, oh, I don't want to be healthy, that's going to be a lot of work. I probably had 15 of those little wedding cookies this week at Christmas, along with the Chex Mix. But you know what I didn't have was any guilt, because I have a plan. I have a solution. I knew how to get right back on that pony and keep going, because I don't want to go back to the girl 42 years ago who couldn't kneel down and tie her son's shoes. I like being active. I'm looking forward to being a fun grandmother someday. Not now. He's only 19. But, and that's part of it, is he has older parents. So there is a responsibility, I think, for my husband and I both to live a healthy life, show him how to, but be here for his. Right. And that's important.
I think that's where I like your model, where you said how to grow old and healthier at the same time. And I think that's what you do every minute of your life. I see that.
Yeah. One's a calendar issue. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
I mean, we can't control that at all. No. But the rest of it, absolutely in our control,
Yeah. Like one of the hashtags I use is to aging actively.
Oh, I like that.
It's not gracefully, it's actively. How do you want to age?
Yeah.
Do you want to age like you're just kind of falling over?
That's like,
well, and
where you're just moving along.
Healthier, you will see the aging more in other people. Which is, and it is kind of that, that what you just did. That's truly how I felt in my early 40s.
I felt that's how I can remember saying to myself, Barbara, if you're like this in your 40s, you're not going to make it to 60.
Right. To 60. Mm-hmm.
And now here I am at 75. So much better than I was in my 40s.
Right? I feel that
and
too.
I'm so grateful for it. So grateful for it. Am I totally where, oh boy, would it be? I still have a few little aches and pains of remnants of when I was young and stupid and doing stupid stuff and injuries. Okay, I'm still feeling a few of those little benefits, those little, But however, in general, I'm thriving.
Yes.
I'm thriving in my 70s.
Thriving is huge. Somebody said to me yesterday, I said, how are you doing? He goes, I can't complain. I'm like, okay. Like that
is not how I want to live my life.
Yeah, I always tell.
And I wanted, Andi, tell the little story that you told, that you sent me your message about why you wore a t-shirt.
Oh, so my son went to a performing arts school. So he was invited to do a sound check with Keith Urban. Like, he got to meet him. He says, Mom, don't make a big deal. I'm like, no, it's a huge deal. Like, you're going to get to meet him. Well, so he got to meet him, and he got a +1 ticket. Well, I was country before country was cool. I learned how to drive with an AM radio. Anyway, as I'm getting dressed, he comes in, and I have on white cutoff shorts, red cowboy boots, and a bright green shirt that says, normal isn't coming back, Jesus is. And Max is like, can't you just wear some regular country clothes like everybody else? And I'm like, have you met me? And I'm like, what if Keith Urban pulls me up on stage? I mean, I'm the girl standing there like this, like, see me. Because I feel like people don't expect somebody to be loud and proud about that message. And I'm okay with that, because it just bubbles up inside of me. It's not like an agenda or anything. The first time my hand was in the air in church, I was just as shocked as the people around me. I'm like, what's happening? But just like my knees, nobody can deny my own experiences with Jesus, and I will fall on that sword.
I love it. Oh, I love that so much. Did he pull you up on the stage?
No, but he was so close he could have. And we went twice. Like, when we were in our little seats, it's funny, with a bunch of teenagers who were kind of bored. And I mean, my son and I, the lady behind me is like, you can stand up and dance if you want. I'm like, okay. So then we see the mosh pit down below, and he's like, I want to do that. And literally about a month to the day later, we were down in the mosh pit. So I've gotten to see him twice. And Nicole Kidman was there the second time.
Oh, his wife. So,
yeah. And I just love being inspired when somebody's really good at what they do and has a beautiful marriage and honors God and all the things. I love that.
Yeah, that's like a triple wonderful threat.
It's a triple whammy.
Right. Right. And I don't know how God's going to use me. I know he's not done with me yet. I know my mission is bigger than I ever thought. Even though my world is out of the big limelight world. Isn't that weird?
Well, I always say
you were in the limelight world.
I always say while you're breathing and here, you always have that mission until you can't do that anymore, until you gain your wings. So yeah,
Right. But, and I was born into a family that believed, so I had a head start on that. But my relationship changed significantly. I want to say in 2013 it was. And it became my own personal relationship with Jesus, not via my parents anymore. Like I got to take ownership of it.
I always tell people that's more important, because if you're just doing it because somebody else is doing it, then it's not going to be the real, relationship that you have with God, with Jesus. But if you do it and you experience, because I know I experienced something that mine's hit at 21. My mother she was in and out of church and stuff. Yeah. She was telling me I needed to go. Yeah. I said, okay, Mom. And I would go for, a little while when I was young, because I couldn't say no to her. But then when I got older, I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. Bye. And then something happened. It's just like you said, an experience that relationship. So now it's like, no, this is me. My foundation is Jesus, God. That's it. And I keep moving. But you have to have that personal relationship with that to bring that out, to make it seem more meaningful for you. That's what I always tell people.
Yeah. We stand on our own.
He's there either way. But when you can create your own, and that's actually what I said to the orthopedic surgeon. I said, well, just like Jesus, no one can take away my experience. And the same is true for my knees. And I will say he stopped. He's like, okay, that's fair. He didn't take what I had for him, but that's on him. I'm still offering to the world.
Yeah. You put that little seed there. That's what I always said.
I told my husband when we left, I said, he was a good doctor when I met him. And I believe that little nugget is going to work its way. I mean, I just have a feeling.
And that's like, I went for my doctor said, gee, I wish, and he looks at me all the time and says, I wish all my patients were as healthy as what you are at your age. And I'm like, well, if you would have your patients do what I do, then they would be.
Right. I had in the Medicare world, I wanted to, in learning, I wanted to walk the whole thing through with my husband. So I went to his intake appointment, met the doctor and everything. And I will tell you, she wasn't real interested in me. She could have cared less that I was there. I'm like, okay, well, I'm staying. Like that's part of the mix here. And I'd printed out everything he was taking from a supplement standpoint. And she kind of flippantly looked through it. And I said, are you not allowed to comment on that? And she says, oh, it looks as good as any other. I'm like, okay. Like she clearly was dismissing me. I let it go. He did his round of blood. When we went back in, she opened the folder, started looking. She goes, oh, right. She closed the folder. She looked right at me and she goes, keep doing what you're doing. Right?
That's what I'm talking. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The proof is in the pudding. It really is.
And see, that's nice that you were an advocate for your husband. I feel like everybody should have an advocate for, anybody in your family or friends, because I'm an only child. So my mother and father passed. So but I have friends and I have my pastor. Thank God for my pastor. She's a friend of me too. And this year alone, I went through 3 different cycles of being in the hospital. And either she was there on the phone. I didn't even know one time she was on the phone because I made her like my advocate. She was on the phone with the doctor when I was about to go into surgery. And I was telling her, I said, well, she said, I know what they said. They told me. I said, how you know all that? She said, I just got done talking to your surgeon.
But wow. I'm surprised they would talk to her. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I have her on as one of my, I think, yeah. And she was like, yeah, I already talked to him already. We had a conversation. I told him, tell me when you get out. I mean, I was like, whoa. But saying all that, you have to have those advocates in your life. And I know sometimes when you don't, I'm going to say this. I'm just going to put it out there. You can get treated a little bit different because sometimes they feel like, well, there's nobody there for it, just her. So we can just do, whatever, and that's not good.
I will share with you. My mom and dad always made a point because there was a lot of time in hospitals in the last 40 years. But my dad always went in, like showered, shaved, clean. They brought in a blanket, like from home, and obviously his daughters were always around. But my mom's like, I'm telling you, I think it makes a difference in how he's treated. Just like, oh, this is a man that matters. Not that everybody doesn't, but he shows up like he matters,
Right. Yeah. That's so true. I see it all the time. Like when my mother was sickly till she passed, because she was dealing with basically she's on dialysis. And she had a heart attack at the end of she lost, that's what she passed. But I would go to all her appointments. I would be there. I would talk. I mean, I was just there. They knew Barbara was going to be there with her mother. Good. And it seemed like the times when I didn't go, they act a little bit different. And I said, okay, put somebody on the phone and talk to the nurse because this is not going to happen. And, I had to stand up for her. So I was an advocate for her and it made a difference. It really made a huge difference. Yeah.
Right. Right. And that's what I am when I am with, whether it's a Medicare client or a product using client or working on the car situation. I bring somebody else in who knows what they're talking about with that, because that's not my sphere of excellence or whatever. Being able to help somebody and then walking away, especially, I mean, I feel like it's like boots on the ground. Sometimes I talk to people's kids in other cities and I'm like, I'm here if you need something. It's just one, layer of somebody else has your parent's hand. Somebody else cares a little bit.
Well, this goes right. It's just so wonderful because this goes right back to what you do, as you do as a queen. I mean, you're an advocate for others with the Medicare. Believe me, when I had to get close to that point of Medicare, I'm calling you because I'm going to need to know what's going on, who's going to pay for what, like you said.
Perfect. And I'm going to go, bump. Cool. They're going to pay for that, but we're going to talk about keeping you out of there, because that really, it's interesting how excited people get about free medication, and I'm like, there's a reason they're giving it to you.
Yeah, because they want you to take it.
I mean, they've got to practice on someone.
Well, yeah, sometimes I feel like they're practicing on me, but that's a whole nother story.
Right.
You're right, though. You are so right.
I will say my mom, who was married to my dad for 56 years, had said, I wish your dad was alive to see what you're doing now.
Oh.
And not that it wasn't wonderful. What I did was wonderful, but I often felt as early as probably 25, like it didn't necessarily matter. Like, sure, it mattered to those people and that party, but in the bigger scheme of things, it didn't really matter, and I feel like this might matter to just one or two people a little bit. And that's enough for me in that moment. So I feel like this has become a calling. It didn't start out that way. It started out as a figure out the next chapter. I didn't even want another chapter. I'm so good. Like, I like the chapter I had. But the last 4 years have been eye-opening for more than just me, for a lot of people in a lot of good ways. There's a lot of good that I think is coming out of a debacled situation. And isn't that the way it works anyway? Is you don't know in the moment, while all the wise is happening to me, you don't know in the moment what God's going to do with it. Yeah. So you have to be ready for that. Ready to, the last thing my dad said was, there's more. There's so much more.
So much more.
I don't know what he was talking about. So from that point on, I've taken everything at a place of yes. Now I've had a strong dose of a year of discernment in there too. You can't take everything on as yes.
That's what I'm about to say.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's part of it, is like, I figured it out, some of these things, so that a client coming to me doesn't have to. Like, I've already vetted this. I mean, there's other companies you can find on TikTok. Absolutely. But I have vetted this, and I can share experiences. I can draw on other people. I can get you on phone with people who know why it takes more minerals to move the needle in your body. I mean, and we were talking about when we started, the why is important. So that how to, if I know why this is happening, okay, it's inflammation that's causing pain. Okay, this is good for inflammation. I can fix that. Fixes my mood. Like, it's a bunch of little systems that all work together. And our symbol in our company is a hummingbird, because I believe it's a little bit of everything, not a lot of anything.
Oh, the hummingbird. That's nice. I like that.
Right? I did not make that up. I took that from a chef who's got it on her chandeliers, but she's a darling little chef, and it's on her chandelier, that a little bit of everything, not a lot of anything. Right? And I think that's everything in moderation. That's a clever way of saying everything in moderation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I like how you said, and this is just a small, like you said, training for people is, okay, if like you're going back to inflammation, what's causing it? Okay, you find out what's causing it. Okay, what can I do for it? Naturally, you can take this, you can eat this, or herbs or whatever. Boom, now you did it. But if you don't, like you say, you don't know what you don't know, and you go straight to the, I'm not trying to put them down, but then the medication pops up first, it seemed like, right?
I had a little bottle of something in my drawer. I won't name the brand of it because it was an over-the-counter, but it was, my knee was hurting probably, 4 months ago. So I'm laying in bed and my knee was just gnawing, like a little bit, like it used to. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But okay, fine. I don't want to have a bad night's sleep. I'll take it. I reached over, and Barbara's, I will tell you, I reached in, and the little bottle was there without the lid on it, right in the corner of the drawer where I would pop them like candy earlier in my life. Yeah. And now I'm like, okay, it did instantly take down that. And I was looking for that. So it satisfied the purpose. I think that's what those things should be used for. It's going to satisfy this little tiny purpose. It's not a way of life. Yeah. And taking pills and things like that had become a way of life, masking things that were underneath. And we fall into that pretty easily.
Yeah, definitely. Just one more thing, because I know we got it with time, but when you're talking about masking and it's not a way of life. So when I had my last surgery 5 weeks ago, it's been a while. 5 weeks ago, I had to have my gallbladder removed, emergency gallbladder surgery.
Oh, I hear about that. Okay.
Stayed 2 days just to make sure I was okay, right, at the hospital. Went home. They sent me with I forgot what the pain medication was with. I know it was something where they said, if you take this, you can get basically hooked on it. Yeah. And I was like, as soon as first of all, I said, I don't even like looking at medicine for one thing. And then when they told me I get hooked on something, I'm like, oh no. Yeah, so oxy something or whatever it is. And it's so funny because I had it there because they said, oh, you're not feeling it now because we still got, some of the medication in you, but day 4, you might feel, something, on your side. I said, okay, whatever, and back in my mind, I'm like, Jesus got me. He got me. So I went home. Put it in there, in the cabinet and everything. And then all of a sudden, like a day passed, I'm like, I'm good. I don't feel no pain. 5th day passed, oh, nothing. 7th day, I'm like, I feel a little whatever going on. And I was to the point of reaching for it to take one. And I was like, someone told me, all you need to do is rest. You haven't really sleep for like a day because you've been working. You just need to take a break. So I took a break and I went straight to a nap. And I woke up, no pain, nothing. And I don't want people out there to say, okay, if you need to take, if they give you medication for pain, I don't want to stop nobody. But for me, it was basically there was something else that was causing it, not because of the whole whatever at the time. And I had to listen to my body. So that was me listening to my body. Yeah.
I had a real similar, just playing pickleball right before Christmas, and I booked 2 hours thinking I normally go for 2 hours, but that's with people moving in and out. I wasn't thinking, wow, we're booking for 2 hours. At an hour 35, my left knee said, we're done. And I'm like, of course, looking at the watch going, no, we got 25 minutes, get our money's worth, right? I hit the ball 2 more times. My knee said, I'm serious. I'm like, okay, I'm out. And I went home and I rested and I did all the things. And but your inclination is, I can push through. I can do more. We're not supposed to. Those pain points are warning. Those are red flags. But I will tell you, when I had my son, the nurse came in he was 9 pounds, 2 ounces. And she said, okay, we're ready for your meds. And I'm like, okay, now what are we taking here? And she goes, oh, it's for the pain. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm good. And she's like, oh, it's because you're on it. I'm like, oh, okay. There are situations. I'm not ridiculous about it.
That's what they said to me 2 days ago. You still got it.
You still got it. That's why you're feeling so good. And I'm like, okay.
Yes, I'm feeling fine. I'm doing wonderful. Oh, that's funny. Wow, Queen. We're going to have to bring you back, lady.
We'll have to bring back Andi. Yep.
I love it. I would love it. This was a lot of fun. Really, truly a lot of fun. And I was not as nervous as I thought I was going to be, but that light is bright, I will tell you.
Okay. I know. It was adjusting. Well, for that, I just want to thank you again. Wonderful. Like I said, meeting another queen and her kingdom and what she's doing and how you're helping so many people just navigate through the Medicare and just in general of health. So important. A good foundation for your life.
Really, let's book a conversation and figure out what's important. I'm gifted at knowing where to send you. If I'm not it, I'm fine to move that along to someone who is.
Yes. And I just put down here real quickly before we sign off, Mrs. Queen's, this is her website. I want to make sure that you go there and get more information about her. As you heard, just knowing her for the last 30 minutes, why not? Why not reach out? Right. It's always good to get that information, especially if you don't know. And what did we say last week, Barbara, where I was telling people, I hate people when they say, oh, this might be a dumb question. No question's a dumb question if you don't know the answer. If you don't know the answer, exactly. Ask the questions. You
right.
Get questions, Andi's here to answer them for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for having me, both of you.
Thank you.
Oh, so you're very welcome. We'll do it again.
Do it again. Yes. Yes. You're my sisters now.
Perfect. I love it.
See you next.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Well, goodbye, everybody. And thank you so much for listening to the Time to Shine Happiness Show. I'm your host, Barbara Ellison, and I look forward to seeing you next time where we will have a great guest talking about making happiness the norm rather than the exception. Because, we believe that each and every one of us deserves to lead a happy, healthy, debt-free, abundant life, whatever that means to you. So join us again. And please, to get reminded, hit the subscribe button or the like button wherever you're listening to us. And we will see you next time. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.